science, art, and math guide us down this path. Historical tales come alive, where science and stories dive. Blended facts with heart, knowledge from the start. Need bridge blues we sing to the future memory. Health and science in the mix. Need bridge got the fix. Complex subjects made
right
clear.
now
Every episode
in ways that we actually acquire knowledge
leads the way.
and ways that make me more efficient.
In the world of digital streams, turning knowledge into dreams. Through the tales of old, new stories unfold.
Thank you so much for joining with me. It is truly an honor and a privilege.
MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming.
Hello, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. I'm the host, Ramana Anamaraju. Welcome. We have a really interesting guest today, Dr. Deepak Mohan. He's joining from San Watkins Hospital, not that far from here, from Silicon Valley. It's like 1 hour away in Stockton, near Stockton. He's going to join with us. I don't know, pathology is one, like radiologists and pathologists are the behind scenes doctors, actually. They are the behind scenes, they're the directors of the care, in my view. They're silent heroes. I call them silent heroes, in fact, because they are the ones really gives a diagnosis, to do all the behind the work, the real work, to give to the primary care physicians or the referral doctors is really a challenging work they do. We don't meet them, the patients don't meet them, but it is a really important work they do, and we don't understand it. That's why I want to bring that to the front lines of this podcast. So after that, I'm going to present the Dr. Deepak Mohan is after that, bring the guest now in a minute. But after that, I'm going to present a topic on another gentleman. He is also from the same area as a Dr. Deepak Mohan. He is a C.V. Raman. I'm going to talk about C.V. Raman and his contributions to the medicine and in the physics, from the point of physics. So let me introduce you, Dr. Deepak Mohan. He's a 35 years. He's a pathologist. He's retiring this year. This is what he said, and he's going to be invaluable. He is a prolific researcher, leadership skills. I didn't know that he was born in the United States and then went to school in India. And we'll ask him. Let me bring him to the main stage. So welcome, Dr. Mohan.
Thank you.
Podcast.
Thank you, Ramana. I have to first of all thank you for putting on this MedBricks program. I've been a big fan of your program for a long time, and I never thought I'd be invited to be a guest. And that introduction was very, very powerful. I never thought I would actually be mentioned in the same breath as C.V. Raman. I mean, that is one of my personal heroes as well. So thank you so much for honoring me, for just inviting me to be on this podcast and highlighting some of the great work that we do at our hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me ask you, just to give me your journey up to this point, if I'm missing anything, that your experience, your professional journey, where you just give us a little brief introduction about you a little bit.
Yeah, I did my medical MBBS in India, in Chennai, and then I came out here to the US and I did my residency MD at UPMC, which is University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. And then after I finished there, I did my fellowship at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. So at Cedars-Sinai was a very interesting experience. We had sort of the elite of the whole world coming there for care. So it was a very different experience. But I realized that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be helping people who really didn't have the best of care, let's say. So I decided to devote my next phase of my career for the last 20 years to working at a safety, what we call a safety net hospital. This hospital is predominantly for the poor. It's a general hospital. We predominantly help the patients who have what we call Medi-Cal here, Medicaid in other places. So it is a gratifying work because these are people who would not get care anywhere else, and we are able to provide world-class care for them. And it's one of those things that you go home every morning or every evening. You come home. Sometimes it feels like morning, and you really feel that you've done your best. And that's what my parents always taught us: is you should whatever you pick, whatever you choose, do your best. Make sure your heart is full when you go home. And I always have that feeling. And I've given 20 years of my life to this place, and I think I want to give opportunity to somebody else to put in some more, put their effort in for another 20 years, because I'm not selfish in that way. I think I've given enough, and moving on to the next part of my career.
That's good. Congratulations about
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
So let me ask you, what are the pathologists, starting from phlebotomy, just start from collecting the blood until you get the sample. Just can you give the journey a little bit about that? So how that the whole process works. You're a leader. We'll talk about leadership in a second, but let us talk about the workflow process of that process.
Right. That's a great question. So I wanted to let you know also something about our profession a lot of people don't know. 80% of the diagnosis in the hospital take place in the laboratory. So whether it be in the pathology lab or in the clinical lab, because we do have two different areas that we manage. Pathology lab involves the tissue, and the clinical lab involves predominantly the blood. So the phlebotomy, as you mentioned, is the starting piece for most people. When they go in and you have to get some lab work done, the doctor tells you go to our phlebotomy area typically, and a phlebotomist who is a licensed person will draw your blood. So that's your very first experience with a laboratory. So we make sure those people are at the highest standard. And they don't get a lot of credit in a lot of places. My place, I treat them like royalty because they are the royal people in our hospital, because they're the ones who represent us. Many of us, they never see our face, but a phlebotomist, our patients are going to see their face, and they're going to see how they treat our patients, because that's going to be their whole idea about what the lab is all about. Although a lot of things happen in the background, they don't know what's going on in the background. So the foreground for this, or the front piece for us, is the phlebotomist. So once it gets to the phlebotomist, we get the blood from them. That's what we call a pre-analytic. Then we get the blood to the laboratory, and in the laboratory, then the analysis starts. That's when the magic really happens. So this is where picking the right equipment is important, because we have various different instrumentation. In my laboratory alone, we have about, I'd say about 500 to 600 different tests that we do. And then we'll have different platforms of tests that will do multiple tests. So we have to pick the right kind of equipment that gives us the accurate diagnosis. So that is also a very important thing that we do as our leadership, is picking the right equipment. So a lot of the time we have to spend reading about different equipment that's out there, going and visiting different conferences and seeing the equipment. So we take that very seriously. And of course, there's a whole team around me. There we have supervisors, we have administrative director, assistant administrative director, and all of these people are of the highest caliber. So they've all moved through the ranks. Typically, we have had some people start off as phlebotomists, all the way at the phlebotomy level, move up from what we call a lab assistant all the way to a CLS, which is our clinical laboratory scientist. That is our sort of a mid-tier. And then they become supervisors and directors, administrative directors. So we do have sort of a pattern for our best players as well. And all of our players are stars, but some of them are rising stars, and they really perform so well that we have to promote them to higher levels. So I'm grateful for the teams that I've had over the last 20 years. That has been the true strength, and that's my true secret in my career.
Yeah, I can see that. Let me ask you, the pathology, so you've been as a pathologist for 25, 30 years almost. So what are the things that changed from when you started in the beginning of your career? Now, what are the advances happened? Just can you run down a little bit about the pathology? People, you're the scene, you're the directors behind the scene. So we don't know what it exactly, when you go to the doctor, primary care, cardiologist, so we don't know pathologists, what exactly they do. So you're the best face for that right now.
Well, in our laboratory, I'll go through the clinical laboratory first, because we do
Yeah.
about 5 million tests every year in the clinical laboratory. So
Oh
it's
my
far
God.
more important. And then the pathology laboratory, it's a little less. We do about 5 to 6,000 tests a year. So it's not as volume driven. So
Tissue lab is more number than pathology lab.
yes, because pathology lab, the biopsies and things, we don't do that many biopsies, but everyone gets blood work. If you go to a doctor, I don't think there's ever a visit where you don't get blood work, right?
Yeah.
So everyone gets blood work. So
okay.
we serve a patient population of the entire San Joaquin County. So we have to do the blood work for the entire county. And so obviously there are multiple tests on some patients. So, so it ends up being around that many tests per year.
Yeah, now I get it.
And so in the clinical laboratory, we've had to go towards automation. So when I first joined the county, we did have instrumentation. There was semi-automated. Okay. So that what it means is, you'd have to prepare it in a certain way and then load it on the device, and then it'll do the analysis. So it's semi-automated. But over the course of my 25 years, now we're going to have a fully automated core lab. We're using Abbott Technology. Is a company that's a Fortune 500 company, Abbott Diagnostics. We use primarily their technology, and they have a new technology called GLP, and it's sort of a robotic automation. So you can connect all your devices to basically a automated track.
Mhm.
And you just have to load it on the track, and you can have even the lab assistants load the track, so you don't have to have the scientists load it. They load it on the track, it goes to all the things, and the scientist only has to release the results. And it's gotten to be so sophisticated. We used to have to review the slides as far as the CBCs and all those type of things when we are doing the manual diff. Now we have a system called Cellavision. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a wonderful system. It takes images of the individual cells and then it categorizes it, and it makes it so easy for the tech, and it makes the productivity so fast. This technology did not exist when I started. Now it's become commonplace. Now most of the laboratories are moving in that direction to have this digital analysis of the cells and counts done. This is the manual counts. The automated counts have always been sort of the automated process, but this is the manual counts, and this can be done remotely. So let's say on a weekend, one of the techs one of the scientists find a cell that they don't know what it is. They say, "Doctor, what is this cell?" They can send it to my cell phone, and on my cell phone, I can review it and tell them. So this gives me an opportunity to play a lot more golf.
Yeah. You're also responsible for this. One of the things, I used to go to pathology labs a very limited way. I used to see a lot of reagents, and then calibration is a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah.
How do you manage that, watching that reagents and the cost of the reagents, and then preservation of the integrity of the samples? How can you give us a little bit about that management style, a little bit about that?
Yes, that's a great question. In fact, the same company that we purchased the automation, there is a brand new inventory management system we purchased from them as well.
Okay.
It is really state of the art. So everything that you can use it for other companies as well, but everything they ship automatically come with the RFID chip. Okay. And so basically our loading dock is on one side of the building, and whenever they bring in any supplies, they always bring it through one door. So they've rigged up that door with all the sensors.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, this is the way it's done in our lab, believe it or not. And I can take pictures and show it to you if you're interested. And the moment the inventory enters the building, we already put it into our inventory. It comes into because the chips, you release the information, and then they place it in a we have a storage refrigerator, and then they put it into the refrigerator. And as it comes out of the refrigerator, it gets used. So every time that comes out of the refrigerator, we know how much the stock is being reduced. So we have a dashboard. We'll know exactly when our inventory is going down, and when it gets down to, let's say, a par value of 3 or 4, automatically an order is triggered. So in the past, we would run out of something, and then you would have to get it FedEx or borrow.
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. Now it's so streamlined that it's just in time. So we don't order too much. We know how much we know which ones are going to expire. The scientists know exactly where to go and pick the one that may expire within the next couple of months, so that they don't get expired on the shelf. So we've been able to save about 30% in fact, on our cost, reagent cost, because we don't need to have as much on site. That's one thing. And the other thing is we don't have the expiries. So it's really helped us quite a bit. So that is a technology that was sold to us from Abbott, and it was part of our automation solution.
Very impressive. So the coming inside, the whole process is automated,
Yes.
and you don't have we used to have a lot of pressure to do the calibrations, make sure that the samples ran out of the expiration date. All those, I remember those days. But now you're in the
I give a little bit of a. I don't mind if you don't mind. I don't mind. I'll just kind of give a little bit of a pitch from what I'm going to do in the future.
Yeah, please.
I'm giving a talk actually at Advancing Diagnosis and Laboratory Medicine meeting in Chicago, end of July. And if anybody wants to know more, you can definitely attend that meeting. And I'll be giving a 1 hour talk about all of this and in detail. So if you want to learn more about that, I believe it might be webcast as well. I'm not sure 100% on that. But if you want to attend the meeting, it's going to be in Chicago.
Yeah, we will announce it. That is Dr. Mohan. I'll
Thank
give
you.
you your email. I'll set up an email for
Thank
you. Dr. Mohan, that once you just to talk about cell vision, you just mentioned about cell. So what I understood, I don't know much about it, but cell vision, usually the pathologists count with the mitosis and all those things. They count with the hand tally. I remember seeing people doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now is still going on, or do you do is the AI or computers or took over and they can do a better count than humans now, pathologists?
In the olden days, the way it was done based on, you look under a microscope and you count, I have one neutrophil, one basophil, one eosinophil, one blast, whatever you see, you count it, and you're counting up to 100 cells. So that was the way you would do it. Now the cell vision will pull out all the cells that it's a hybrid system. I can't say it's 100% AI.
Okay.
You still need a scientist to look at it, and the pathologist can also review these as well. So anytime there's a blast, because blast means that could be a malignancy, it automatically generates but we also have other criteria. If it meets any of the criteria, it automatically requires a pathologist review. But the scientist will also look to see, if, hey, is this machine it'll show you all the neutrophils it counted, and you'll have a picture of all of them. You'll have a picture of all the eosinophils. So you can do a reality check. Because sometimes it does make mistakes, like the nucleated reds might look like lymphocyte or something. So you can recategorize that. So it's more about, I don't know if you've ever used the Tesla full self-driving, the FSD.
Yeah, correct.
You can't let it do it itself. But it can do 90%, which is good. 90% is good because you don't have to spend your time on the easy parts.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a construction site or something like that, and you immediately take over the car and you drive there because you don't want to take a chance.
Yeah.
The same way, this software is also designed in that way. It takes 90% of the tedium away. Yeah. And then the 10% you spend on the most important cells, the things that are really tough and challenging, where we really have to engage the human mind, that's where you target. This way, the mind is kept fresh. Because a mind, if you put a lot of boring things into it, it gets bored and it may miss the most important things. So we take the 90% of the boredom away and then just concentrate on the 10% most important things. And it's also very good at standardization because, before, what I was telling you, the human being is good at kind of getting into 4 categories, but when you count like percentage-wise, computers are better at that. Yeah. And so when you use a computer along with a human, I think the results are really good. And so that's where I see, and that's historically where our role has been. Tools, right? Starting with the cavemen, when they had like clubs and hammers and things like that. But then now we have these amazing tools like AI is taking us to the next level, really taking us to the next level. And that's what these are not to replace us. This is to make us better.
Let us talk about cancer. Cancer is really pervading, is a growing. We don't know, you as a pathologist, you diagnose all the times. So particularly breast cancer, 1 in 8 women, as you mentioned just now, saying that of the show, that 1 in 8 women get the breast cancer. It is really a big thing. How do you how do you automate this kind of process and the early diagnosis? That's a primary, very important requirement, right? It's significantly important to diagnose the early detection of the breast cancers. So tell us a little bit of that journey, how the pathologist is involved in the diagnosing the breast cancers.
Yeah, I'm going to give you more of the historical and how it still works, and I'm going to tell you what the future is going to look like, because we still are not there yet. But I can see, because some of the papers I've read about what's going to happen in the future. Right now, the current paradigm is really based on the woman. One of the best tests they have is self-detection, is to do a self-exam, and that is the beginning of the process right now. So they have to find, and the problem with that is, and I'll tell you why that's not the greatest situation. For a mass to be detected by self-detection, it has to be at least a centimeter in size. Okay, in our parlance, we have a grading system, T staging, which is basically how we grade any sort of tumor. T1, T2, T3, T4, right? So by the time it's 1 centimeter, it's already what we call T1B. Okay, so it's already gone up from T1A to T1B. So that best case scenario, you're going to detect it at T1B. So that is not good, because you already skipped over T1A. Why can't we get it at T1A? So other thing is mammography. And mammography, you're not doing it all the time. High risk women, maybe every year, but most low risk people, we're doing every 5 years or every 3 years. So to catch that, you can catch less than centimeter on a mammography.
You're correct.
But especially the digital mammography that we have now, we have a very high sensitivity mammography that can pick up less than 1 centimeter lesion. But you're not doing that test very frequently, right? Now, this is where things are going to change. There is going to be a blood test, and I can't really talk about it. I have a non-disclosure agreement with the company, but there is going to be a blood test that will detect breast cancer, just like PSA. We'll have a blood test, and the ones who are suspicious will go in for mammography immediately instead of on a schedule. That'll be a game changer. I really will be a game changer, and we'll start to catch T1A patients. And that really makes a big difference, because at T1A, the risk is very, very low for metastasis going into lymph node. So when you catch it that early, you can almost cure the patient 100%.
Save it, yeah.
The problem with T1B is by the time you get to the final surgery stage, you might be on T1C or T2. T2, now you're really at risk. T2, most of those patients already have metastasized to lymph node. So then it becomes a different disease. It's a systemic disease, right? Right now in the local disease, T1A, T1B is like local disease. You can control it locally. You can cure the patient with 98% certainty. So which would you prefer, right? Get it early, right? So we are going to have that available.
Very good.
We make that possible. That's one of my things. My passions is to drive innovation, and hopefully we'll have that.
Dr. Mohan, I'm in Silicon Valley, center of Silicon Valley. One of the things that we look for Holy Grail. We had a company called Theranos here in Silicon Valley. They 1 drop of the blood can solve all the problems.
Yeah.
What went wrong? What is the things that you think of in that direction where they missed? Is it possible in the future that 1 drop can get all the things? Or is it?
It's a very good question. They tried to recruit me, and actually made it through the first stage, which was, because they were very stealthy about it. They hadn't really told me what it is all about. And so I made it through their first stage, and I was in their second stage, and I started asking questions. And they figured that this person is not the right person for them, because I was asking the questions which would have probably led to the truth. Yeah. So for me, it's about the patients, not about the money. And that company was a fraud. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think, I don't know if there was investors that thought they really believed in, but unfortunately, it was the CEO was a youngster. Laboratory requires some experience, requires the knowledge.
Correct.
And it's not like the other innovative technologies, like us doing a startup for .com or doing a new app or something. It's a different thing because it involves people's lives. So you want to have some gray hair. You want to have somebody with the experience. You want to have somebody with the knowledge.
Yeah.
We didn't want that. And in fact, if I had helped them, maybe they would have not been fraudulent. But the thing is, I was asking all the wrong questions, and they realized this guy is going to catch on, you know, because, certain things, they weren't possible at the time, and they still aren't possible. Certain things can be done with one drop of blood. You're absolutely right. They can be done, but certain things cannot be done. And I was asking the questions, how is it possible? Because I know medicine. I've been around it for a long time. And how are you getting around the basic laws of physics, right? If somebody says they can create energy from nothing, you're going to ask questions, right, Ramana? Because you're a physics guy. You're going to say, how do you get along? The law of thermodynamics is out there. How do you get around that?
I think in Silicon Valley they make noises rather than subject in the particularly in healthcare.
But
There's a lot of noises.
You got to follow the laws of the universe, the laws of the world, the laws of the country. You cannot go around that. Because, if you don't do that, then you obviously are doing fraud. And
they don't understand the risk of that the Six Sigma level, that safety.
Oh yes, we have to. The number one is patient safety, and our goal has to be patient safety. That is the number one. Yeah. If you get around it and say it's because of the investments and this and that, then you're not any different than any of these guys who are just making money off of things. It's not what we are.
I'm going to bring you on the side. Actually, thank you, Deepak Mohan. I think you're stellar, that your experience and your knowledge. When I get back after the presentation, my presentation, after I get back, I will ask you leadership things, how the pathology, one of the things I was talking with Dr. Robert Pearl about leadership is such a crucial thing nowadays in the medical field. I will come back and ask you, and after presentation, you can jump in anytime in this, when I'm presenting, because it may be touching your field a little bit, or most of it probably. Thank you so much. And that is Dr. Deepak Mohan, as a director of pathology lab in San Joaquin Hospital, in a hospital system, and not that far from Silicon Valley. Let me explain you a little bit about Doug. He is a very well respected. He is going to retire.
I just wanted to just give you my sincere gratitude for allowing me to share my story with your audience. And it's been one of the greatest honors of my life to be on your podcast. Thank you so much, Ramana.
Thank you, sir. We're not over. I want you to stay and talk about leadership a little bit. Let me talk about, that is another gentleman, came from the same hometown, same area that you are from. That is a C.V. Raman. I'm going to talk about it. Actually, Fujian province in China, there is a salted fish they're eating. That salted fish is that it is called, maybe Dr. Mohan can tell more about this kind of thing. It's a the nasopharyngeal carcinoma, kind of cancer. It's a kind of cancer, right?
Yes, so that occurs in the top of the nose, and it's very aggressive.
Aggressive cancer.
Particularly occurs for the East Asian population because of the fish consumption.
Yes. Yeah, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, so that is so the first time China used a Raman spectrometer to diagnose that thing at the point of care system. That is a very interesting day. China adopted a kind of a Raman spectroscopy quite a bit. So Raman silent revolution is going on in healthcare. I'm always fan of, I was listening to I'm a physics student. Raman father worked in my school, Andhra University, as a professor, where I went to school. So he is in Vizag, Visakhapatnam for a while. Then he moved to Calcutta next. So I think, the physics department is one of the best departments that Andhra University had. So it's a very silent revolution going on in healthcare in the things. I'm going to play a quick video. Just let me play a quick video on the thing, and then if you don't mind, just give me 1 second. I made this video 7 or 8 years
ago. His name is Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman. He was born in Tiruchirappalli, state of Tamil Nadu, India. His name is long with numerous alphabets, but get used for it, because the next few decades belongs to this man. He is descending from heavens to destroy cancer. Just not cancer, he is omnipresent in every field: science, medicine, technology, engineering, and even theology. Welcome to the world of Raman gadgets. Raman probe, Point Raman probe to anyone and just click flash, just as you do on your phone. It gives instant result that person has a cancer or not. No elaborate testing, no other diagnostic testing required. Cancer detection in seconds. Raman pen. Raman pen, point and click at the finger and tell you the blood sugar levels instant. No more shedding of blood drops by millions of diabetic patients. Raman scanner. Just place your hand gently on the Pharmanex Raman scanner. It gives you the fruit and vegetable intake and in correlation with the antioxidant activity in your body. By monitoring antioxidant levels may help you to prevent some diseases. Raman inspector. Raman inspector, a handheld instrument, is an invaluable tool for law enforcement. Just point and click, it identifies the counterfeit drugs. Just point and click and can tell you it is a cocaine or any other illegal substance on the spot. No labs, no other testing required. Just point and click and can tell you right there if it is a hair gel or explosive material in the container without opening it. Raman reporter. Just point and click and instantly tell you if that is a true Picasso or not. No other verification required. This is done deal. It is just taught. Raman optical tweezers, Raman microscope, Raman true narc, Raman imaging, Raman hyper, Raman transition, the list goes on. His name is truly omnipresent. This is not a science fiction. This is an extraordinary brilliance of a strikingly tall and dark handsome man from 19th century India. Hello, my name is Ramana Anamaraju and I have a passion for physics, specializing in allied healthcare and above all concern for all well-being of humanity. Sir Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman, usually referred as C.V. Raman, was born in 1888 near Chennai, India, and died in 1970. He discovered groundbreaking quantum phenomena in the field of optics while he was working as a professor of physics at University of Calcutta, India. He was knighted in 1929 by Queen of England and awarded Nobel Prize in 1930, first non-Caucasian ever to win in the field of science. His discovery is called Raman effect or Raman spectroscopy or Raman scattering, which are named after him. We only see objects, including people, when light falls on them and reflect back to our eye. But once in a while, the reflected light also gives stunning details about the molecular and atomic structure of the reflected matter, like a rotational and vibrational energies of the molecules or atoms. This unique reflection was discovered by C.V. Raman and it is referred as a Raman scattering, along with few other names. With humans, Raman scattering gives exquisite details about the cell structure and its function like no other modality we ever seen before. Raman effect is the only way you can identify rotten apple from real ones without touching, smelling or cutting. This non-destructive method is unique to Raman discovery, so thus makes an invaluable tool in the field of medical diagnostics without exposure to any radiation. A perfect tool for law enforcement without opening containers to check for explosives. A perfect method to check the authenticity of the age-old art without using any chemicals. Raman scattering analyzes vibrational and rotational spectra of the target material by using a non-destructive method. Cancer. At present, one of the most advanced methods of detecting cancer is through positron emission tomography, referred as a PET scan. This highly expensive and complicated equipment occupies 10,000 square foot office building or placed on 18-wheelers. The average cost for this procedure is around $4,000. Imagine exam that combines into a single scan the diagnostic imaging power of 10 PET studies, each measuring an essential dimension of cancer's aggressiveness, metastatic potential, and susceptibility to the radio and chemotherapy at the cost less than $25. Raman spectrometer, handheld Raman spectrometer can deliver that punch with a style. By attaching gold nanoparticles to the cancer cells, Raman spectrometer hunts every one of them every one of the cancer cells, identifies them, and kills them with a nano-heated guided missiles. Well-respected magazine Diagnostic Imaging describes Raman spectroscopy, a quantum physics technique puts all preceding medical imaging modalities to shame. Raman, the cancer avenger, descended from heavens to rescue mankind from this fatal disease. Raman puts cancer detection is at our fingertips, figuratively and literally. C.V. Raman may be Hindu, but his discovery recanted the rituals in the church that happened centuries ago during early Christianity with stunning details. Santorio delle Peregrina, 13th century historical church sitting near a beautiful Cantabrian mountains in Spain. The church completely lost its original Romanesque mudéjar brick architecture through centuries of rituals and tourism. It is impossible to recreate the original architecture with all its colors and beauty since there was no historical data available. Raman spectroscopy came as a surprise savior for the church. Raman spectroscopy took layer by layer the centuries of environmental destruction, the dust left by oil lamps in 13th century rituals, natural decay of the bricks. Raman spectroscopy brought back the original image of the architecture with the stunning details. In recent years, 13th century Pilgrim Church was remodeled to its original architecture with all its beauty and grandeur. Thanks to Sir Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman, a true scientist and a true patriot of India. In the field of medicine, Raman spectroscopy coming with a true revolution. You can literally test for cancer with the handheld instruments at primary care offices or even at a boutique drugstores in coming years. By catching the disease at an early stage dramatically reduces the cost of this fatal disease. A man from heaven gave a remarkable gift to humans. I am proud to share part of his name. Thank you for listening.
That is the let me bring it back let me bring back this one. I'm going to talk about a little quick this one. So humans have a unique fingerprints, right? Fingerprinting is the unique to each human. Molecules have a genetic printing. The molecular has a fingerprinting for the molecules. So they have a unique unique fingerprints. That's what the Raman spectroscopy. Vibrational spectrum is the unique fingerprinting for the. So all the molecules, they stretch, they bend, rock, and wagging. All what they do is that movements that is very specific to the vibrations of the spectrum of the molecules, very unique to that particular type of molecule. So actually, you can do proteins and lipids. They have unique fingerprints. That's what the vibrational spectrum is. That's what Raman spectroscopy can do it with a class. That's what. So cancer detection in the cellular levels, what they did was the Dr. Mohan was talking about, you need a 5 millimeter tumor, to find out in the PET scan. At least 10 million cells you need it. Each cell has 42 million molecules inside, proteins and all those things. Raman spectroscopy, think about that. Each one molecule unsaid and can give you the vibrational spectrum and see the pathology of that one. This is really coming from the Dr. Mohan's hometown people. They are brilliant people. You see that? It's in the food, I think. But that is the Raman spectroscopy. You can go hunt for each molecule. Think about that. So how early we can detect months before. Complex data analysis is the computational analysis. Raman shift is a unique signature shift for each cell. If suppose a pathology, suppose if there is a disease, there is a healthy cell and infected cell, the vibrational spectrum is different. So it can recognize the vibrational spectrum way before 10 million cells. Now you don't need 10 million cells. Few cells is enough to recognize the recognize to recognize this one. To by Raman spectroscopy can recognize that way earlier, almost years before that. The thing is, in the physics side of it, is that this is a revolution. It's called surface enhanced Raman scattering. Yes, SERS they call. Surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy is just out of this world. Honestly, I tell you why. Because when I was studying physics, Raman spectroscopy was behind the. It was not popular. The reason was 1 in 1 million photons actually Raman scattering. So there's not a very weak signals. Raman signals are very weak. So a lot of research is not done. So what happened was, after the lasers invention, surface enhanced this Raman scattering came out in the front lines. What it does is, they take the substrate, they take a sample, they mix with the gold nanoparticles, and the change of physics, electromagnetic radiation. What is they create a standing waves there and amplify the Raman signal. So every molecule you can, because of that reason, it in a million times it amplifies the signal. That means you can do by molecule, you can test it. Is that powerful? Surface enhanced Raman scattering changed the last 5 years. They changed the world after the lasers actually changed it. But last 5 years is a humongous research going on right now in the Raman spectroscopy. Except, surface enhanced. One of the Raman probes you can see inside the pathology labs, or you can do in the when the neurosurgery when they're doing, they can illuminate, they can fluorescence, they can put it there. But the next one is actually Raman probe, that is you can do, this is the one I recently is coming in. It is just out of this world. I was talking to Dr. Mohan about this. Is a patches, surface enhanced resonance imaging, search, a Raman spectroscopy, Raman imaging is producing these new patches search. They're not counting this as this is not about monitoring vital signs. This is monitoring the cells and see the cancers in the future. You can put on the keyboard, on the doorknobs, you can put a patch there. It will recognize that. See that you can put a smart clothes. Actually, I met a friend here in Silicon Valley. They're doing a smart bra. They're doing the South Korea, China, USA. They're doing 1 year to detect breast cancer. So search patches coming up. It is an amazing. It's just out of this world. There's a Raman spectroscopy. It is a really true. Right now the Perseverance rover in Mars, they're looking for life with it's called Sherlock. Sherlock means scanning habitable environmental with a Raman luminescence, organic and chemicals. That's a name, a stupid name, but long name. Sherlock, it's called. Raman spectroscopy is there. They're looking for the signals of the biological signals in the Mars. There is another signal, gospel wife. Jesus is married. They found a piece of cloth 2000 years ago. They found that's what they wanted to question that is a 2000 years ago or not. In that piece of cloth, it mentioned Jesus was married. So they gave the testing. The only way you can do that is whether it is 2000 years old or not, by using Raman spectroscopy. They found out yes, don't get me wrong, this is not me. All the Christians don't get mad upset with me. But Gospel of Jesus' wife, they said that this Raman spectroscopy says that is in fact 2000 years old. So Raman is what he said that when see in the we are it's called a Raman. I'm in the Silicon Valley. Prompt engineering, asking questions, right questions are important in the ChatGPT or Gemini. All these large language models, asking the right questions. C.V. Raman understood long time ago without even AI. Ask the right questions, and nature will open the doors to her secrets. That's a beautiful. I always say that it is powerful. The physics, all the all the solutions are around us in the universe. Let me bring a with the wisdom, same wisdom as the Dr. Raman is a Dr. Mohan. Let me bring him to the table. Thank you for watching. Uh, so, what do you think, Doctor? It is.
Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. I really enjoy reading about C.V. Raman. He's one of these brilliant men. They may have come from South India, but
Yeah, there he could be anywhere.
This some of these people, even seers, had looked at these things 2,000, 3,000 years ago and written about it in the palm leaves.
Yeah.
And that shows the wisdom of my ancestry. And
Yeah.
this was there a long time ago. And they built these temples. I don't know if you've been to some of these temples. They're 2,000
I've been to this.
years, 3,000 years old, and they look like they were built yesterday. And they're now built.
Mylapore Temple. I went to Mylapore Temple.
50 years ago, it looks like it's built 1,000 years ago.
Correct. Yeah.
So, you can't take away the wisdom of the past. The wisdom of the past exists. They had a lot of things that we don't have currently. We lost it. But we can read and we can learn and find out as much as we can and stand on their shoulders. Because we don't do anything. It is our ancestors and people before us that have given us so much. We're only developing 1% or 0.1%, and we call it some discovery. But it's actually standing on the shoulders of giants.
Dr. Mohan, as I heard, is that the C.V. Raman is a very good leadership quality. Is one of the best, extraordinary. They say, as he's a scientist, just you are. Now let us talk about the leadership. You're really College of Pathologists. You're a spokesperson for them. You did something work with the College of Pathologists. Tell us a little bit about the leadership from your working point of view, and all the way to the College of Pathologists to work with them.
I'll make it very simple, and a lot of leaders they won't realize this is the most important thing, because it takes a while to understand this. The most important skill for a leader is to be humble. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If you're not humble, you won't be a servant, because when you're a leader, you're actually the biggest servant.
Beautiful wisdom.
You're a servant to your people, because if you're not thinking in that way, you'll never be a great leader. You'll be a leader, maybe moderate to average, that's it. But if you want to be great and you want to motivate people, you want to be able to have people build pyramids for you, you have to motivate them in such a way that they really believe in you. And for that, you have to be their servant.
That's a beautiful, that is not extraordinary wisdom. There is no question about that. It is humbleness is a very, one of the things I strive to be humble. That's always I try to do that. And you're the best example. So that you're retiring now with the 30 years of experience. Now, what is your next step, Dr. Mohan? What is your career tapping to you? And is a secret?
The goal is to reach, some X sum of money, but that's not my goal, because to me, there's going to be an end date for my life, this body. Of course, my spirit exists forever, because we are Hindu. We understand that the spirit will always exist. The money and all those things are just transitory. So it's helpful to get us from one place to another, but the most important thing is helping mankind. You can help individuals or mass of people, and somehow to move mankind forward and to move them from where they're in ignorance to more knowledge, and also spiritually. Also, they should be able to move from where they are now to a higher level of consciousness. This is the most important task that we all have given, as human beings, to move our entire 8 billion population from where they are right now to a higher level. I don't know where that level is, but higher than where it is now, not the opposite direction, going into the base instincts of war and fighting each other and trying to get a little bit more money from each other. Come on.
Well, we have a little time. I wanted to ask you about about the healthcare system in this country.
Yes.
Let me ask you, what do you think of this healthcare system? Where are the things you are in the front lines of delivering care in a small towns and then prison population? All of them, you're delivering care, care people the most needed. What is missing in healthcare system? What do you think of that? Where are the flaws in the healthcare system? Is the richest
No,
country? Doctors are
yeah.
not happy. Patients are not happy. Hospitals are not happy. Who is happy here?
This is it's a broken system. It's completely broken. You'll have to break it completely down and rebuild it. That's the only way you really can get some resolution in this particular system. The problem is the middleman. All right. You have these insurance companies, they're bloodsuckers. All they do is take money from both sides. They're taking money from the doctor, they're taking money from the patient. So if you cut out the middleman, I think we'll be in a much better situation. There are some people that are working on, again, I have got some NDAs. I cannot talk about the direct technologies, but there are some technologies that Uberize medicine, that will Uberize the whole in the insurance industry just disappears. Poof.
Yeah.
That will be the paradigm shift that we need. And
I'd like to show you my
happening.
Medbits platform.
There are people around us working on it. I've been advised on the advisory board of some of these groups that are working on these type of technologies. They're going to be, disruptive, very disruptive. Okay, because they're taking the current paradigm. A lot of people will be losing money too, because the insurance companies, they have a lot to lose. And I'm putting a target on my back just talking about it right now. But I don't care. I like to talk the truth. I want the best for our patients, and of course the doctors who are serving them, because we are also servants, but we also deserve better. We don't deserve to be squeezed by insurance companies. We deserve, a fair wage. That's all I'm asking for. Nothing. We don't need an extravagant wage, but we need a fair wage, which we're not getting because the insurance companies are really the evil ones in this whole process. The patients, of course, they're patients. They don't know what's going on. In the middle, we put these insurance companies, and they're squeezing both sides. And administratively, they're also taking a lot of funds out of the system, which basically is going into their pockets instead of going into the, it should go to the either patient pocket or my pocket. That's what I would believe. It should not go to the middleman who has got nothing to do with it. They're not providing any value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm the podcast host, so I'm going to be neutral
in
this.
I mean, very in this. That's fair. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you the truth. That's
yeah, that's good. My job is to ask you questions.
I tell you the truth. That unfortunately these days the truth is a bad habit.
No. That's the care is the broken completely system. We need to change
it is a broken system, and it needs to be reworked. We need to focus in on prevention more, because right now the model is based on because they make more money if you get the disease than if you don't get the disease. So they try to make sure you get the whatever disease it is. So prevention is not where they spend most of their effort. If you spend more money on prevention, it's good for the patient, right? But because they won't get the diabetes and metabolic syndrome or whatever it is, and we can prevent that from happening. But unfortunately, there's no profit in prevention, and we have to take the profit out.
We need to change the system. Yes,
completely be removed, and it should be based on helping patients improve their lives, and prevention is definitely the way to go.
You're retiring soon, so what is what do you do for fun?
If I wasn't jumping, I wouldn't probably say all these things.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So what do you do for fun? Do you cook South Indian food? Do you know how to make it? Or idli, dosa? What do you do?
And she does all the cooking for South Indian. I do the other stuff. I do cook on weekends. Hopefully more cooking when I retire, of course. I love playing golf. It relaxes me. Of course, you played some Carnatic music to as my intro music. I love listening to that as far as relaxation, and then spending time with my family. These are simple things I like. I like to travel. I like to go all over the world. And again, I wanted to complete my story, my full 360. I started my career in Chennai, and the end of my career, most of my work will be in India, because I need to give back. Okay, that's my. And I said about my heart, and what I need for my heart is to fill it with giving. You fill your heart with giving, not taking. So for me,
that's a beautiful way of finishing up.
As much as I possibly can towards the end of my life, and that's what I'm setting myself up to. Maybe through foundations and also doing physical work as well, to give back to that very, very deserving. And there are many people in a lot of poverty, and it's not because of their own whatever doing. It's because they've been in the situation. So improve their situation, educate their children, make them, their next generation at least, more successful. And that will be sort of my next goal, to really help in that regard. And all my focus will be towards that, because you don't want to leave this planet with a big bank account. You want to leave with a full heart of giving. That is what I want for my life.
We need more doctors like you, Dr. Dr. Mohan. It is a truly privilege and honor to talk with you. I'm honored to have you on my podcast. It's any day you're welcome. This podcast is. Thank you for coming with us. Thank you so much for joining with us.
A great deal of gratitude as well. You honored me, especially speaking in the same breath as C.V. Raman, having my name part of that wonderful tradition from my ancestry. It's a great honor, and I thank you profusely.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good night.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it